iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
So first and foremost, thank you everyone for joining iHeartRadio Broadway today.
Yay!
Thank you for having us, SJ.
Thank you.
So before we talk about A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder, which is streaming on Broadway On Demand July 15th for a full week, I do want to talk about the organization first, CollaborAzian. So Pearl, can you tell us a little bit for our viewers that don't know, how did this organization come to be and what's the true significance of why the organization was formed?
So we all have a dear mutual friend by the name of Diane Phelan. She is also one of the co-stars of the show. She's performing and producing. So we were having lunch one day and she was asking me what I was up to. And I was telling her that I started to toss around the idea of doing some producing work in addition to my acting. Because I wanted to have more of a say in what is going on in our industry, and I find that the greatest power we have as actors is the power to say no, and I really want to say yes to things, and so in order to do that, I felt like I need to really take the reins, and so she said, "Hey, I had this dream project to do a virtual concert of Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder with an all-Asian cast. Would you be interested in helping me to produce it?" And I was like, let's do this. And so this is my first foray into producing. And we've gathered an incredible group of people: Jeremiah Abraham, Ariel Estrada, we have Rob Lequie, and we have Jessica Wu, myself, and Diane, and Carl Joseph Coe, who's also co-starring in the show as well. He's got his hand in producing this piece as well. And I know
Anne Fraser Thomas as well, right?
What happened?
Anne
Fraser Thomas, exactly. We've got quite a big group together as CollaborAzian is concerned, and what's great about it is that we all wear different hats here, and everybody specializes in different things, which I really appreciate. But yeah, I mean, for me, the significance is that I was performing and doing a reading, and I was just looking out at the sea of faces who were people who have the power to green light things, right? And I've been doing this a long time, and I've just kind of noticed that consistently they look a certain way. And so I also figured out that that's why there's only one of me on the other side of the table, and why often the narratives are the same. And so I wanted to alter that and change that. And I also think that with this project, what's so fantastic is that, people need to see that Asian American AAPI performers can play all the roles. And, this piece definitely shows that, so.
And I will say, I want to read something because Lea Salonga is hosting the event on July 15th. Yes. And in the press release that went out, she said, historically, Asian American artists have been marginalized in media and on stage. Productions like this help to spotlight the tremendous talent that has been overlooked. We're here to show the world that we are here and we are fantastic. And I think that absolutely sums up what your organization is trying to do.
Exactly. And, look, our talent pool here have definitely played leading roles for sure. But I just giving them this space, and we get to enjoy them in these roles as well. So I think it's a gift for all, and especially in light of what's going on with our community and all the Asian hate crimes that have been occurring. I think it's all that much more important for our faces to be at the forefront and to show everyone that we exist and that we are here in America. We are Americans, and we are a part of the fabric of what makes up America.
So Alan, you are the director of A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder. So how did you get brought on to the project?
Well, I got an email from Diane Phelan And basically she said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" And sort of like, "Of course." So she got on, and she was actually so shy about it. I was like, "Diane, we have known each other for years. You know, you don't ever have to be shy or tentative about calling me about projects like this, especially." And yeah, what I just loved about it was like, okay, she has this idea, she wants to do it, she has a vision, she has a team. I was like, how can I not sign on to this? It was a group of people that if I didn't know them, I have heard of them, and the people that I knew, I was like, oh, I love all of these people, so how can I not want to be in a room with them? And well, not physically in a room with them, but in a room, in a virtual room with them.
You know, a square.
Square. And so yeah, and the cast was like, I was like, wait, we have these people said yes, really? And so yeah, so it was kind of, you know, it's like casting is 98%, and I was like, okay, well, if we have this cast, then this is going to be super fun and super easy. And I don't want to say easy for them, because the idea of having to shoot it virtually on your own, where you are everything. You are your own sound person, your own makeup, your own costume, your own lighting, your own videographer, basically. It's challenging. I just did one this morning for Sesame, and I was like, we finished, and I was like, all right, I need a drink, because literally it was like 3 hours of setup to even begin. And so, and if people don't know that, this is what the actors have been doing for the past year and a half. It's like we've become our own crew as well. So it's very admirable, and so I hand it off to my brilliant cast for being able to do all of that.
And Alan, I obviously know you from your acting career with Sesame Street. You've been on Broadway, but I really did a deep dive on your career today, and I didn't realize that you have directed a lot over the course of your career. So I'm curious, from directing live on stage across the United States to directing in a Zoom room for a virtual benefit, a virtual performance, are there challenges just the same as producing a stage performance?
The challenges are slightly different, because it's basically, you know, we've all been in this Zoom world for the last year and a half, almost 2 years now. And so the idea of trying to create something that's exciting sort of in this format is a challenge. And, you know, and we have some brilliant editors who are sort of helping us make this not a Zoom meeting, to making this a full, realistic, realized performance. And luckily, I have been directing some stuff for Sesame Street over the past year and a half that has been virtual. So I've been taking all of those little tools and bringing them into my theater world as well to create this. So yeah, so this is my third theatrical virtual world. And yeah, every time we do it, it just, you know, I learn a little bit more, and I get a little bit more nuanced in my bag of tricks. Definitely.
And Allie and Tom, as performers and actors, what does it mean to you to be a part of this production? And also, again, those challenges that you face with having to create a performance on a Zoom room?
Tom?
It means the world to be able to work with my brothers and sisters in our community. You know, normally it's handled and managed and designed and authorized. Permission is given by people who are from outside the community, who may not understand the struggles that we've encountered. They may not share the same vision of the theater and of America, to be absolutely honest. So there's always the advantage of this kind of unspoken. It's more than an agreement. It's a connection between us that oftentimes doesn't have to be articulated. We're all driven by the same thing, this idea that we belong, we're here to stay. And we're very good. Why are we very good? Not because we're just entitled to be to an idea of being good. It's because I think we've all worked very, very hard to overcome a lot of obstacles, and that brings us together. in a beautiful way. As far as the challenges of this medium, I mean, what's more exciting than discovering a new medium? It's not TV, it's not film, it's not theater, it's something brand new. And to work with people, with actors who are game, like Ali, who I've worked with before on stage, but you know, in this medium, it's completely different. And Carl and Diane and the irrepressible Cindy. And then to work with someone who gives you free reign, who has the courage to give you free reign, like Alan. I have known Alan for like since we were tykes in the New York theater, tiny, and you know, this is actually the first time we've actually worked together.
Yes, isn't that weird, Tom?
You know, it took all these years, but then we got in the same room together and it was like hand in glove because of the very things that I'm talking about. And I think one of the things to add to that little equation is this idea that this is a brand new medium and we're making up our own rules. So it was really exciting.
And Ali, same question to you.
Yeah, I agree so much with everything that Tom has said. I think there's a beautiful freedom in the trust that we had already kind of created with each other, you know, having either known each other for years or gotten to have this amazing working relationship and respecting each other's careers. You know, one of the beautiful things about the theatrical Asian American community in New York in particular is that we support each other through thick and thin and really understand how special it is when one of us gets to achieve something. And I know I've experienced that love and support personally, and try to give it out as much as I can as well. And so then to be, you know, collaborating together is just really, really special. We all have such a beautiful respect for each other's work and craft and everybody else as people. And I think that makes for a really fun working environment. And of course, yes, you know, the challenge is I had to figure out how to do period hair. With my, you know, curly whatever, I ended up putting a pair of tights on my head and sort of hiding it. These are the tricks one learns in quarantine. I thankfully learned it for a different virtual production that I did with the Irish Repertory Theater of Meet Me in St. Louis, and actually was able to kind of take some of those skills into this space. It was such an amazing collaborative space that I could say, hey, you know, this is what we did there. And the Irish Rep was actually incredibly kind and generous and gifted us microphones to use so that we would all have the same equipment, because that is very important when, you know, taping from one's very different apartment. You know, I live in a studio apartment, so my entire living space was also my entire workspace in the time that we were filming. And my dog, thankfully, you know, was very polite. We had a lot of animals on set. But yeah, I'm just so thrilled to get to do this piece. You know, I auditioned for the show for the tour. I remember I had a very terrible callback, which was nobody's fault but my own. I was running from one thing to the other, and you know, definitely didn't do my best work in the room. But also, you know, we all understand that while, you know, this is one of those pieces that for me seems to just live right in my pocket, right in the place that I feel the most comfortable. I've never seen anyone that looks like me or Tom or Cindy or Diane or Carl play these parts before. And so it was really, really exciting to get to sort of live out that dream role wish in the setting.
And Ali, for those that don't know, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder won the Tony in 2014. For those that may not know the show, how would you describe the show to someone who has never seen it before?
Oh gosh, a beautiful farcical period piece with lovely legit singing, which is so exciting for a new musical, and a lot of virtuosic acting by, you know, the main folks who are playing many different roles as they get murdered. That's the worst marketing pitch in the world.
Anybody else want to take a stab at it, Tom?
Oh gosh, 25 words or less. It is a sharp and witty and rhapsodic vaudeville about love and murder. No surprise there. It's so clever without ever being precious. The comedy is rooted in not just the tradition of vaudeville, of a type of musical theater comedy, but of genuine wit and intelligence. It looks at itself, it examines itself, but it's never self-referential. You know, it's an exciting piece of theater. Just on the page, it's an exciting piece of theater. So it was really, really such a pleasure, such an honor, really, to inhabit it in a very strange way that we did on Zoom.
It's one of my favorite musicals I've seen in a really long time. And
Mhm.
I will say that's very heavy in the comedy and the slapstick and the physical comedy. So I'm really curious, Alan, how that comes across virtually speaking on a Zoom.
Well, I mean, we do have a lot. We have, well, first and foremost, it's the actors who bring it to life. And something that we did differently in this version than in the Broadway version was, in the Broadway version, Tom's characters that he plays, the Dicewith family, are all played by one actor. And so Tom played all of those roles. And we thought in this version, it would be fun to have a female version of that kind of arc and that kind of multi-role playing. So that's what Cindy's doing. So basically, we took any other character that was in a scene with them, and we're like, oh, Cindy's that. Okay, fantastic. So Cindy's playing like 12 different roles in this. And so it's, for me, what's kind of fun is the ping pong match of that comedy of both Tom and Cindy sort of bouncing off each other because they're in scenes together and stuff. And just the costume changes alone are just so delicious. And so, yeah, everyone sort of, we had a style meeting at our very first read through of this. And then, you know, I let everybody go. And then if, you know, sometimes they tape by themselves, sometimes I was in the room with them. And then if they tape something and I was like, oh, I wish we did this, then I would ask them if they would consider retaping with those little notes, and they always did. And so it's a fully nuanced and realized, you know, farcical comedy, you know, and I'm kind of thrilled for everybody to see it.
I'm really excited for everyone to see it. And I want to say one more time, it's July 15th, playing for a week on Broadway On Demand. And I do want to mention the online event will benefit StopAAPIHate.org, a nonprofit coalition that tracks and responds to incidents of hate, violence, harassment, discrimination, shunning, and bullying against Asian American and Pacific Islanders in the United States. You will be able to donate during the live stream as well. So if you want to buy tickets, please go to Collaboration or Broadway On Demand. I want to thank you all for joining me today, but I do want to ask one final question. You are all Broadway insiders, you're all Broadway industry members. If there is one thing that you want to see change in our industry as we move forward to opening in September, what is that change that you would like to see in our industry?
Three things, actually. Equity, diversity, and inclusion. So the theater can't survive without it going into the new age. It's art, so it has to continue to move forward to stay alive. And if it just goes backwards, it will eventually, I think it'll eventually die. It'll lose an audience.
And,
But
you know,
it
and
reflects the future.
I think what we are doing here is a part of this journey, right? And the entire creative team, and we're talking about our costume designer, our stage management team, our editors, everyone is a person of color. So whether they're Latinx or Asian American, Pacific Islander, we have a full color scope here working. And I think that that needs to happen more. What we ran into an issue early on trying to find a general manager who was a person of color. And that's a problem. That's an issue. And where are we going to find them if they aren't given opportunity? And so we are creating opportunity ourselves. And I think that that's what I want to see in the future, is that we start becoming more active in the change that we want to see and not wait for it.
Absolutely.
And I think that Hamilton has sort of helped crack that door open a little bit for all of us. And it's up to producers and directors to have that sort of open vision in order for all of this to happen. I know that everybody on this call has been given the opportunity to play something like grander than they had and more diverse than maybe they would have been able to do 25 years ago. And that's great. And we just have to continue that journey.
And Allie, I'm going to leave it with you.
Yes, and just, all of the reason why those things, equity, inclusion, and diversity are so important is that they impact everybody who comes to see the theater, and they help the theater to grow. Having been given the chance to be, the first Asian American person to play Christine in the Phantom of the Opera on Broadway ever, right? And over 29 years. I got to witness firsthand how that impacts the audience, how people are excited about that, how, people that are of Asian descent or just from diverse backgrounds get to come to the theater and feel like maybe they can be a part of this greater community of Broadway. And that's what we want. We want to include everybody who wants to partake in this beautiful art form.
Well, on that note, I do want to say one more time, July 15th for a week, A Gentleman's Guide to Love and Murder on Broadway on demand. Please, please, please go buy your tickets today. I promise you, you will not be disappointed. It's going to be an absolute fantastic production. Tom, Pearl, Allie, and Alan, thank you so much for joining iHeartRadio Broadway today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you.
iHeartRadio Broadway, driven by Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.